This is a small fleshing beam. You can get them you can make one, get them at any trap and supply. I just put it on this so I can clamp this to the table. And then I stretch my small game over it, just like so. And most of the time you can get them all the way up into the head, especially a squirrel, mink, something like that. So we got that there. What we want to do is we want to flesh that out. And a squirrel right around the mouth has got some glands. You want to get those off, just go ahead and pull down, and you can see the meat coming off. Go all the way down. Just keep. You see that, how much I got off of there? Up around the head they got some glands you got to look at, and like right in this area here. So we got that. And down around the bottom here there's some meat right here. See this? What we're going to do is we're going to skin that off of there. Pry it off. Okay. Now we got one side fleshed. What we're going to do is you just pull that loose like so. Pull her up. Turn it a little bit. Get the arm right in here and just go under the arm and just keep fleshing. Try to get most of that slimy layer off if you can. If you can't, don't worry too much about it. It won't do any harm right now, but you can kind of see I've got a thin layer of meat here. See here? And then here's the skin. So what we're trying to do is get right down. So that's what we got right here. It's kind of hard to tell on this one because he's kind of bloodshot from being run over. So, but anyway, I'll show you this here. Just keep scraping. Till you feel you don't want to scrape down to the hair, but we'll turn it a little bit more, pull her loose, turn it a little more. If you want, it might help you a little bit. You might want to throw a little salt on there and let it dry for a couple minutes, and that might help you get a little bit more flesh off. But you can see this one here, you've run over, so you got a lot of bruising. And we're just going to go ahead and keep going around here, kind of halfway down, and get this guy. Okay. I'm going to push him down just a little bit more so I can get up around his head here. We did the other side. There's a gland here. We want to do that. Get that gland. Let's see if there's any more around here. Well, we got a pretty good job there. Anyway, so that's fleshing this squirrel. Now, what we're going to do, pull him off of there. We're going to go ahead and split the lips on this here. Kind of a gentle process. Here's his lips here. We're going to go ahead and we got to get that so we can turn it inside out. See here? Let me see if I can get this focused in a little bit more. Okay. There's my knife at. There it is. You see this membrane right here? That's part of the inner lip. We want to just go ahead and split that so it kind of goes over like so. You can use like a fleshing ball to do that. Put it in there, but I use my finger. I got a better feel for it. And just kind of go around there and just flesh, or just go ahead and turn that lip inside out. And that's what we're doing here. And if you see any little pieces of the meat, get those off too. You see we went around there and we got that thing all turned inside out. The nose is kind of boogered up from being hit by the car, but and then you'll see right here there's where your whiskers are. It feels kind of fatty, I guess you call it. Just a little bit like so. On both sides of the nose you'll have that. If you cut too deep, if you go like this, you'll cut the end of those whiskers at the base, and then your whiskers will fall out. So you gotta be very careful. Just like so. So I just go ahead and I cut them like so. You can, I don't know if you can see them, but they're little bases on the whiskers. Okay. Now, we got that. I'm going to go ahead and a little bit here. We got some meat here. I must have missed that. A little fat and meat. We'll get that off there where that gland was I was telling you. Now what we'll do is we're going to get this thing ready to wash. What I'll do is I'll get kind of, not even lukewarm, kind of tepid type water with Dawn dish soap in it. And I'm going to wash this for probably, 5 minutes. And what that'll do is just break up the blood and the grease, the fat in there. Then I'll rinse it in cool water a couple times, wring it out, get it out of there, and then we'll dry it off and get it ready to go. But that'll be time. I got to order the form for this, and then we'll come back and we'll wash it up and get it ready to mount. If you don't have this fleshing wheel here, let me back this up just a little bit here. If you don't have this fleshing wheel, you can go ahead and use the scissors. I'll use the scissors on. See this fat on here? You got to get that fat off. Just go ahead and get that fat off like so. You can put this over a board and scrape it also, or use your fleshing ball. There's a lot of different ways you can do this. If they're real fatty, let's go ahead and use the fleshing ball here a little bit. See how that kind of pops that fat right out there? All this is fat. You just take your knife and just cut it off, just like so. Squirrels tend to get kind of fat. This is a wintertime squirrel. He was really laying on the fat. But anyway, you can do it this way. You do it with a knife. You can do it with the scissors. Just put your finger underneath it and get yourself a little action going there where you can feel it. Now hold it up there and get your scissors underneath it. Just like so. Squirrel meat is tough to pull off. Just take it easy. You don't have to go real fast at it. This here, if you don't get this out, I could almost guarantee you you're going to have bugs. You get these little bugs that drop off and leave a little case on the floor. See that? See how I'm going there? Well, you can do a squirrel in half an hour just doing it this way. Another thing you have to do is you got to split the lips here a little. Got to get these lips split. Let me shorten up my knife a little bit. Okay. See how they got lips on them, I guess you call them. And you just take it, go ahead and just go like this and get that lip split. But what I do is I use this wire wheel, and it'll take that, split that lip right off of there. Let's see if I can get a little closer here and you can watch me. Now you don't want to put too much pressure on this. Let me see if I can get a little bit closer to this. See how this lip is kind of peeling back right here? I gotta work at this a little bit backwards here so you can get this view in my hand in the way. But you can see this lip is just starting to come off of there. And they're just like deer. You want to make sure you get right around here. There's a little ridge of muscle that right around in this area here. You want to make sure you get down into that and get that off of there. Now, if you go too deep, you'll tear the skin there. You can see that. Get down to the whiskers there. These are whiskers here. It's real thick tissue there. Must control his whiskers so he can see which way he's going to put them. Must be real sensitive because they sure have a lot of them there. And we're just going to go ahead and you can see these whiskers right here. And then we'll just keep going around here like so. You do all this by hand with a little brush if you want, a little wire brush. Get yourself a little brass brush or whatever. You can do it, cut it off with the scissors. Sometimes you can get this stuff put together. You see it done. You can read about it all you want. And somebody can tell you, but like me, I'm kind of a hands-on person. Now we're going to go down the body here. We start at the head, and we'll just kind of work everything downward. If you're going to really get into taxidermy, you can either buy this wheel like I did from a company, and I use it for everything from turkeys to chipmunks. It's too light for deer. What happens is if you put too much pressure on it, you stop the wheel. And that way you don't have to worry about it burning a hole through your skin. I do fox faces with this. They're kind of fragile, fox and coyote. They got a thin skin on them. So you can build a bigger flesher they use for geese and turkeys. Give you a little bit more room to work. But if you're just starting out, something like this will do. You can build your own. Just make sure you get it enclosed so the fat doesn't spray out all over the place. Otherwise you'll have fat all over. What we're doing, some of these areas where we have more fat, we're going to get it off, but for most people, if you break the surface on that fat and give your soap a chance to get working on it, you'll be in good shape. We're just going to keep working here. This is a fat squirrel, man. Still having, you get them in the wintertime like this, they're all larded up. It feels like a good fat. I mean, it isn't offensive. Like you get a badger or whatever. Oh man, you start fleshing a badger out and get the fat on a badger, and it doesn't smell all that great. I just did one the other day and he didn't smell too good. Big old male badger. He wasn't smelling all the best. This will take off little pieces of meat too, like this here. You see this little sliver of meat? It'll take that off of there. We try to get as much as we can off of there. That's what you want to do. You just put a good effort into it, and you'll get her. I mean, that's all you got to do. Most of this is just, you try to cut corners. I wouldn't try cutting corners yet. I cut corners sometimes, but not really on fleshing and defatting something, because that's one of the stages that is crucial to a good mount. And when they sell these kits at different places, I won't mention them, big chain outfits, they give you a little borax and they tell you to do this, tell you to do that. And I can probably guarantee you that people that buy those, the mounts don't last, or they just don't really explain good enough. I ought to buy one of those kits and see how it is before I badmouth it, I guess. I'm not going to badmouth it. You get all your material in there, and I'm sure the instructions are good, and if you follow them, that's fine. But like I say, sometimes you have to see what they're doing to really get it. Now if they throw in a CD with it, that'd be good. Or if you get it and you want to watch one of these CDs, that's even better. If they don't have a CD, some of my CDs are going to be relatively cheap compared to other places, because you see my studio here. It's not what you'd call Hollywood. I watched some videos and it's such a clean, sterile environment down in there. My taxidermy shop is what I call controlled chaos, I guess. If I put something down, tell somebody to go find it, they couldn't do it. But I could find it, because I know about where it is, or where I used it last, the tool. But anyway, we're getting right down here to the rear end. In a squirrel, on the back end, they have a lot of fat around their legs, especially the back legs. Underneath, you can kind of see, look how greasy my hands are getting. It's unreal, isn't it? You wouldn't think that squirrel would have that much on there. What they do, there's a little piece of meat here. Well, you'll see how I take that meat off of there. I could have cut that off with the scissors, but I want to give you the full flavor of what one of these wheels can do. Just take your time. Sometimes if you get a little piece of sinew in there, you'll end up having to cut it like so. Anyway, I think we got this baby about wet. We'll take a look at her and see. Get around the ears a little bit more. Now, I don't split these ears out. What I do is I'll put a little piece of cardboard in there to form them. I mean, real light stuff to form them as they're drying. But as far as you're taking a chance of damaging it or splitting that ear out and ruining it if you go after that. If I was going to do a competition mount, yes, I would. But this isn't a competition mount, and this is a $125 squirrel mount. Okay. We'll go ahead and put this squirrel in there. What I did is you can either use Dawn or simple green, and I just do a little washing action. I take my paper towel and clean up my machine a little bit, get some of that fat off of there. Put that baby away for a while. I got some more squirrels to do, but not right now. Just go and agitate that, and you'll see how that'll take the grease right out of there. Simple green is a good grease buster. And be careful with it. You don't want to leave your hide soaking it too long. I haven't busted out in the song yet, have I? Okay, now what we do is we squeeze that baby out. Doesn't take long to get that grease out. Squeeze that baby out. Now what we're going to do is we're going to set him down there. Cold water will cut the suds better. A lot of paper towels used in this shop right here, let me tell you. Anyway, let it soak in there for a little while. That'll cut through the suds, get the soap out of the skin. We're going to get this form ready. I'm going to show you what we have here. I'm going to set this aside and I'll get the squirrel tree out and show you. You see the bottom of it? We got a gray squirrel and then we got a red squirrel sitting. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put this black squirrel coming down the tree like so. Just like so. So what we got to do is we got to get these legs bent. We're going to go ahead and put the feet back a little bit here, up here, so they're gripping the top of this. And then we're going to, let's see, we got to go this way here. So we'll do this one, and we'll get this one here. We'll cut this loose. And see what you want to do is you want to cut in the joint, right like so. That's the way their arm naturally, or their leg naturally hangs. If you ever field dressed a squirrel, you'll see that they kind of go just like this. And what we'll do is we'll trim a little bit of that off and bend this down so it's about like this. So it'll be gripping the tree. Like I say, I think we're probably going to end up having to take all these legs off, but that's alright. I'm going to go ahead and then what we can do, same thing with it. We're just doing a little trimming here, and when we get this thing ready to go, I'll show you here. You can use a little rasp. Now see, I got that thing just about like so. What I want to do is I want to get that like so. Something like so. I want the leg more straight up and down instead of splayed out. One thing about squirrel forms is what I noticed on squirrel forms is they always have the legs too far apart, or they're just flattened too much. They need to squeeze them in a little bit more, reduce this angle right here. We need to get that squeezed in a little bit so they sit on branches better. I mean, you can put this on a flat log, but man, you're going to have the log that wide for it to sit right, or a tree. Now that isn't very helpful in a situation like this. So what I do is I modify these forms, something like so. I'll get this thing ready to go. When we get ready to put him together, we'll just put pins in him. We'll get some glue in him, some clay, pin that on there, and he'll be ready to go. Now we'll work on this side here. This is the same thing. I don't know why they just don't come up with a good one. I mean, they're nice forms, but they just are, unless you got a big slab of tree, I don't want to have to, most customers don't want to haul half a tree around in their house. So what we do is we just modify this, and this one here will be the same way. It'll be about like so. Now you'll see, I'm going to put this together about like so. You'll see how these paws will actually go in and be able to hold on to that tree. Otherwise, there's no way I can do it. Anyway, we'll go ahead and we're going to bend this leg. We want this leg to come back a little bit. So what we do, we take a little bit out of the back here, kind of V it. We'll just bring that back like so. See that? And then we'll fill this in with clay right here. We'll put a pin through here, like so. When we get ready to mount it up, we'll put a pin through there, or we'll hot meld it. But anyway, you're going to end up with a form. Instead of being out like this, way out here, it's going to be in like this. Tell you what, it just makes a lot of work when they do that. But that's the way it is. Now I'm going to straighten these legs out like so. Instead of being like this leg is going to be like so, almost straight up and down. I'm going to do the same thing on this one. I knew we'd have to do this, so let's see. We want to go out, so we want to V. We want to cut this back. Okay. Cut the back side off, V out of there. And we're going to go ahead and put it like so. Sometimes you do what you got to do. Well, just like so. Okay, I'm going to get my squirrel skin out and we'll rinse it out.